This is a problem all across YouTube. This is not just a problem with Blair. And for anybody who disagrees with me talking about the Sad Milk incident in correlation with this incident, this is a message that needs to be spread. Do you actually care about drama or do you not? Because if you do care about the drama that you're watching, if you really think that what these people are doing is so bad, then we need to find some way to prevent at least some of the things that they're getting away with. If you're really mad that Blair has just been ignoring all of the controversy and she keeps posting, then don't you want there to be some sort of system in place that can prevent her from doing this again? Because so far there is no consequence for her getting on multiple accounts. Everyone's seen it, but she could easily do it again and you never know. So I'm trying to tell you about this because I'm trying to stress how important it is for us to provide a solution. I'm telling you that if we attach watch time to comments, that would fix a lot of these issues. But some other ideas that we can also do is YouTube can push up comments that watch more of the video than comments that don't. And then on top of that, you can select to read comments by watch time. You can also possibly implement some sort of system where if you at somebody, there will be a number next to the at so that you can see how many times you've added that person. So if two people try to act like they're just two strangers agreeing on something, but next to the at, it then says 42 or 364, then you know that they know each other. They've been on several comment sections with each other and they're not just random strangers. These are some things that could really help fix a lot of these issues. And if you don't like the way that I'm talking about it, then you make a video and you talk about it. You find a way to discuss this stuff, because making videos on YouTube is not as easy as it seems. If you have a problem with the length, again, make your own video. Whatever it is you want me to do, prove it possible on your own channel. But if you really care about this stuff, we need to find some way to prevent these things from happening, or else what's the point in talking about it? We need to find some sort of a solution. I'm going to explain how these two comments are connected and how I firmly believe that this is the same person who has been harassing me for 3 years now. I'm getting harassed. I am being stalked by someone or some people, mostly one person at least, on several of my videos through multiple accounts. And I'm going to do my best to explain that. But I don't know what to tell you first to get you to listen to what I have to say. I don't know what to preface and what not to. So I am going to preface some stuff first. And if you don't want to hear those things and just get into what happened, I am putting chapters in this video. So you can go into the description and click the chapter you want, or you can just click on the bar at the bottom and skip to the part that you want to see. But I don't know exactly how to structure all this for you to understand. If you are here because you've been following the Illuminati drama and you just haven't gotten your fix yet and you want to see more and more about it, this is not the video for that, and you're better off clicking off and going to watch something else. The reasoning for the title and the thumbnail and the main purpose of this video is that I want to talk about a very specific part of the Sad Milk incident, which was the fact that Blair used multiple accounts to harass, click, and I think it's important to talk about that, because what a lot of people don't realize, and what I haven't seen many people talk about, is that there is power in anonymity. Blair is a very big YouTuber. She has over 1 million subscribers, and she still found power in using anonymous accounts that could be anyone with any sort of opinion. And that's because it is just as powerful, if not more powerful, to sway public opinion with anonymous accounts that no one knows of than it is to do so as a big voice. It depends on the circumstance, of course, but they've even swayed elections through doing this with bot accounts and things like that. I don't know if you guys know about that type of stuff that was going on Twitter, but they would use bot accounts on Facebook, Twitter to sway elections. She saw that power and tried to do that herself. And the whole purpose of me making these two videos, and this one and the last one that I'm going to do, is that I'm trying to show you guys that this doesn't just end with Sad Milk. The problem that we have on YouTube is that controversy has to get so bad until something goes viral before anyone wants to speak on it, because if they talk about it before everyone is already in agreement on the subject, or until they have a good idea of how everyone will react, then they have to put in some risk themselves, the commentary channels. And that's why when they finally do speak on it after everyone already agrees, the vast majority of them don't add anything. If anything, they just regurgitate what everyone else said, or even get facts wrong, or make light of it so they trivialize trivialize it, which just makes the situation worse because they don't want to take that risk. But that comes at the cost of people having to suffer so badly that their situation has to be viral worthy for anyone to believe them. To add something thought-provoking is again to take risk and possibly bring on more attacks from these anonymous accounts, which again do have power. It's a whole system. It's this endless cycle that makes drama worse and worse. You have to remember that we weren't always here, but these days it's like every few months someone is being associated with in some way, shape, or form unjustifiably. And it wasn't always like that. But it's because this is getting worse, and it's going to get worse than this. I don't know how bad it's going to get. There's a cause and effect here that I don't think a lot of people are recognizing. People think that this stuff only happens to big YouTubers, but it doesn't. You don't hear about it from smaller YouTubers because they're canceled. People don't think that you can cancel small YouTubers because they think that unsubscribing from someone is the only way to cancel them. But you don't get to see the small YouTubers who are canceled because they're canceled. You've never stumbled across their videos. And the way that you cancel small channels or any channel over time is through that tactic of making those multiple accounts and making up lies. And it's a lot easier to do with a small channel, actually. If you go there and make up lies about someone, there's only going to be a few comments because they don't have a large following. And what people do when they see a controversial video is instead of watching it and formulating their own opinion, they pause it and read the comments first. And even worse than that, a lot of people tend to go in with a bias. They're afraid of seeing a certain topic brought up in the video. That's why they paused it out of fear. So they're looking for any comment to confirm that that's what's in the video. So even if you have 10 comments saying, hey, you know, you should watch this video. If one comment says, she said that this serial killer did the right thing to kill all these innocent people or something, and that's the one thing you didn't want to see, you're just going to believe that comment, even if it's a blatant lie. None of that ever came up in the video. Of course, that's an exaggerated example, but I'm trying to get you to understand what I'm saying. And when someone like me says something about it, then they just think that I'm the problem because I'm basically telling people that we all have to take more responsibility on YouTube. And a lot of people don't want to believe that they have anything to do with how we got here. They just want one person to blame. And right now it's Blair. And she's a big part of it, but there are parts of it that's on you guys too. So this issue with bot accounts and anonymous accounts slandering people and harassing people is something that happens all over YouTube, but people can't speak on it because they won't be believed. And I had this happen to me. And even if you don't like me, even if you, for whatever reason, feel like this level of harassment was warranted, there are other people that this is happening to the same degree. If not worse for some people, it depends. And they can't speak on it, even though they probably have way more pleasant channels than I do. So I'm telling you guys about this so that you can see that even a small channel like mine is dealing with this kind of harassment. And that's why I'm pushing that we attach watch time to the comment section. So if you don't want to see all the details of that and why I'm saying all this, you can click off at this point. That was the point of this video. So, you know, spoiler alert, etc. But now I'm going to try my best to go through the details of what happened. And I really just hope that this is the last time that I have to talk about this incident. I really, truly don't understand why this video that I made was so important. I was not expecting to get the viewership that I got. It's one of my biggest videos. I have no idea how it affected people. I just know that it had a very big impression on many people in different ways. And it is kind of the source of some of the biggest issues that's happened on my channel. Me being stolen from and me being harassed by several people, if not mainly one person with many accounts. It all centers around this video. So one, I would recommend you go watch this video before you watch what I have to say now. But two, if you have seen it already, then if you have any idea why this video is the center of all this controversy on my channel, let me know, because it really just makes no sense to me. But again, I'm so sick of talking about this. It's been 3 years. I really hope that I don't have to address this anymore. So I'm just going to get into whatever else I edited. I'm going to put this at the start of my video, and yeah. People have all sorts of opinions on abortion, feminism, censorship, harassment, bullying, all this stuff, right? So if you see someone lying about any of those topics in the comments section, you just believe them because you wonder to yourself, well, why would someone lie about that? Well, I'm going to show you today. So this video is probably going to be very long. I have another video that I recorded, and I'm either going to upload that separately from this or put pieces of it in here. Whichever one I decide to do, I'm going to put in a text box on the screen right now explaining that, because I'm still trying to figure out how to go about explaining all this to you. So before I get into this whole incident, I need to explain a few things. But the first thing that I want to talk about is mental illness. So many people criticize me for my structure. I have some videos that are structured, I have some that are not. And people like to use structure to invalidate an argument. It is not someone's fault if their argument is good but unstructured. That means that they're struggling to structure it. Me personally, I have ADHD, and it's untreated because just from the description that my doctors have given me, you have to take these pills to have better task management, like taking pills on time, for example. But if I could take my pills on time, I wouldn't need the medication. So it's this endless cycle where I can't medicate myself enough to get the task management to medicate myself enough. So I am still struggling with that. And that's why I have a hard time structuring things. And if you don't have ADHD, and if it's not like mine, then you just don't understand how difficult it is. But all you can picture is just a million things in your head at the same time. And rather than it being an attention deficit disorder, it's an intention deficit disorder. That's a whole other story for another day. But the point is, I'm giving attention to too many things at once. It's not that I can't pay attention, it's that I'm paying too much attention in a sense. And that's me really dumbing it down. So if you have an issue with the structure of this, I can't help it. I'm doing the best that I can. As for my tone, people criticize me for that all the time. This is not an excuse for how I behave or what I have to say. Anyone who's subscribed to me knows that I talk about morality all the time and how none of us are perfect and we have to try to grow and improve, okay? So I'm not excusing my behavior. I'm not excusing anything I've ever said or done. I'm simply explaining. I wanted to talk about this in a video maybe a month from now. But I'm just going to say this here so that you understand why my tone is all over the place. I disassociate. I do not have DID. So I'm not trying to get lumped in with that group or represent that group in any way because I do not. Disassociation is on an entire spectrum and DID is the furthest end of that spectrum. When I talk about subjects, I get triggered into other versions of myself. I know that sounds like DID, it's not. So when people tell me you should re-record, I can't re-record because I'm just going to get triggered when talking about that same thing again into the same version of myself. So I'm going to relay it the same way every time. Most likely, I'd probably have to record a million times. And then the other issue is when I'm editing videos. So if I record my video in whatever version of myself that's more aggressive and argumentative or emotional or whatever people want to call it, if I'm editing in a more calm personality or whatever people want to say, I'm conflicted because I'm like, well, I didn't really want to relay it that way, so I'll put a text box in, you know, and explain myself further. And sometimes I'm conflicting with myself, so sometimes I'll re-record in a calmer tone because right now I want to say it in a calmer tone. So when people tell me to write out a script, if I've written out scripts before, not only can I not do that because with the ADHD it's really hard for me to read, I have to read stuff several times over and over again to be able to read it because I just cannot focus on the words. I hate reading. But even when I do type out a script, if I'm typing out in a very angry way because that's just how I'm disassociating right now, then when I go to read it, I don't even feel the same way anymore. I'm just like, well, I don't agree with the way that I said any of that stuff, so now I gotta retype it. And then if I'm angry while trying to read it, I'm like, well, I don't agree with that, so now I gotta retype it. And it's, again, I'm doing the best that I can. So just keep all that stuff in mind when you watch my videos. That's not to excuse the things that I say, but all I can do as a person is take responsibility and try to improve or try to correct myself or explain myself depending on the circumstances. That's all I can do. So with all that in mind, I'm going to do my best to explain this entire thing. So what exactly happened? What exactly led up to me getting comments like this one? And this one? And this one? And more. Basically, years ago, when I was first starting my channel, for one, I didn't even want to talk about controversial stuff. I think I still have a video up where I have a black screen because it was like one of the only things that I viewed as controversial that I wanted to talk about, and I did not want it to get a lot of views. I literally just wanted to have a discussion with like the few subs that I had and leave it there. I used to be that kind of person, and obviously I'm much different from that now. And through that transition of controversy, I never had an opinion on censorship. I am someone who does care a lot about avoiding hypocrisy, but objectively speaking, we are all hypocritical. The whole point as a human being is that you're supposed to recognize your hypocrisy and try to avoid it or fix it or correct it. because none of us are perfect. And I have made this clear before. I've never spoken as if I'm better than everybody and I'm just this perfect person or more moral than everyone else. That's not where I'm coming from at all, and that's never where I came from. So without me having an opinion on censorship, I didn't want to censor my comment section at all because I didn't know if it was okay or not. And I didn't want to be a hypocrite about it because once you delete those comments, they can't come back. And I didn't want that to weigh on my conscience. So I would just let comments stay the way that they were. But when I started posting more controversial topics, even when it was way more tame, because it got really bad, like I got really aggressive and angry. I'll get back into that in a minute. But when I first started, it was just me disagreeing with some stuff. I started getting all these hate comments and I would leave them there because I was like, well, I don't know if I should take it away because isn't it their right to say what they want to? People always talk about unchecked free speech. So I left them there. But they would accuse me of stuff that wasn't true. So the only thing I could do in the perspective of not deleting their comment was correct it and be like, that's not what I said. Then they would keep going and accuse me further and further. And the more I tried to speak up for myself or defend myself, people would then call me petty for responding to comments. But when I wouldn't respond to the comments and leave them there, no one was watching my videos. I could tell from my analytics that those comments were getting me less views to the point of no views. And the few views that I got was a ton of dislikes without even watching. I would get almost no watch time and they didn't care. To combat that while still in the realm of allowing people to say whatever they wanted, I then got very aggressive and I started to talk back to them all to get more and more comments because if you get enough comments, that boosts your video in the algorithm. So I would just embrace the chaos. So if I was criticizing a certain person, I would share my video to their fan base. I would just bring it on because I'm like, if you guys are going to do this to me, then I'm going to piss you off enough to where you boost my video anyway. And it worked. I started getting all these views, and then for every 100 people who hated what I had to say, one person would like it and subscribe. And I started getting subs again. I started getting people watching my videos. And so my videos got very aggressive because again, I'm getting triggered into this like defensive state where if I can picture all these crazy arguments I were getting in the comment section while making a point in a recording, it would trigger me. I'd start getting really mad and like angry, like blah, 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 you know, and just saying something sometimes knowing that it would offend people, I'd say it anyway because I'm just like, fuck you guys, okay? And again, all that stuff worked for me. I was getting more views and I was getting more retention because in the comment section, I'd be telling people like, you're not even watching it. You're so stupid. The shit that you're saying about me, you didn't even watch the video. So then they would go and watch the video and then continue to argue with me, which got me more watch time. Like, so it was like me embracing that chaos did get me the result that I wanted. But the point is, it was at the cost of having this chaotic, insane comment section. So it got super out of hand. And when you see these screenshots, you're going to see how out of hand it got. But yes, so now you know why I was arguing back with them. And then I had a supporter. Every now and then I'd have like some other supporters too, but it was mostly one other who would defend me in the comments and they would harass that person too. And it got to this point where I finally got an opinion on censorship through feedback from my supporters and through my own self-reflection. And I realized that unchecked free speech allows censorship, funnily enough, because spam is a form of censorship. You're using your voice to suppress other voices. Slander is a form of censorship because you're making these false accusations so that people don't listen to someone else's opinion. It's meant to suppress their voice and their reach. Threats of violence is a form of censorship because you're using power intimidation to silence another person. That's why freedom of speech laws are centered around these things, because the laws are stopping people from using their free speech to censor someone else. So people have to broaden their perspective of free speech. So once I realized that, I was like, wow, I should have deleted these comments all along. I should have blocked these people in the first place and it wouldn't have got this bad. But I didn't. And yes, in a sense, this whole thing made me a stronger person and a smarter person because it made me realize all this stuff about censorship that I see no one talking about. And I never would have learned this stuff if I had blocked it in the first place. I would have just continued to have this contradictory cognitive dissonance in my head about censorship and being stressed out all the time. So there was good that came out of it all, but it doesn't change the fact that now I have these people harassing me in my comment section and all they do is just make up lies. So I don't want to go super in depth because this video is going to be like 2 hours long if I do that. These are long, lengthy comments. You can pause and read it for yourself if you want, but I'm just going to sum up what happened and circle certain things. And I'm just going to show you that with, again, possibly some inserts from the other video that I made about the new comments I'm getting and just put all that up and let you guys judge for yourself. But I'm just here to warn you of what my comment section is like and why I have to censor it, and just to let you guys know that these people are back and they're harassing me again. So all of this started with Stephanie Soo. I don't know how long these people were on my channel, but they really started to do all of this stalkery stuff when I put up this Stephanie Soo video. So I can only suspect that they were a fan of her. And again, I was getting some of these kind of comments before that, but this is when it was just like really consistent and crazy. And when I first saw these people specifically. Okay, so this image is very small, but you can see here it says, perhaps you should work on both your amateurish art skills and your subpart debating skills as well. So again, they were commenting before this, but this was the comment that started all of the stuff that led up to them being censored. This was like the straw that broke the camel's back. So in that comment, you can see that there's this typo, subpart, and they were saying that I had amateurish debating skills. So one of my viewers was saying in response to them that they can't even spell subpart right, and they're talking about my communication skills in some way. So the supporter was pretty much calling them stupid, and it became this whole argument where they then lied to the viewer and said that Kang lied and that they never made that typo. So I was able to prove that that's what they said, because in my notification, it shows the original comment before they edited it and fixed it. And they then were just like, oh, you photoshopped that, you made that up. And it became this whole thing where they just kept saying that I was lying and lying and lying and lying. They kept calling me a liar. And keep in mind that these people were going on responses to other comments, comments that disagreed with me, comments that agreed with me. And they would say, she does all this stuff that I never did. So they would also then argue in these comments and be like, you're doing stuff that I never did. Like me photoshopping a typo. One thing that Swoop talked about in this whole Illuminati controversy was the idea of DARVO behavior. And I thought that that was a really interesting word because I never heard of it before. For anyone who's subscribed to me, you know that I talk about toxic, abusive behavioral patterns. But I didn't know that there was a word that actually summed up a lot of these specific patterns that I've talked about. So I'm definitely going to look into that, and I am going to talk about it more on my channel now that I know it's a thing. But in this video, you'll also be able to see some DARVO mentality, which is a similar mentality to what Blair was using, which I think is what's required for people like this who use alternate accounts to harass people, especially over a long period of time. It's a very toxic and obsessive nature. So it became this whole argument, and if I have the screenshots, I'll show you here. These are super old. They're from 2020. This incident specifically happened around April 28th, I think. And then similar to that, they then took it a step further. So for one, the fact that this is in response to this Stephanie Soo video shows you some idea that it's connected to that video. So that means that it's either happening right now and these people are harassing me right now on multiple accounts, or that they started 3 years ago and are still harassing me on multiple accounts. Either way, it's bad. And I'm going to prove how this account is the same as a new account that happened, or do my best to prove it. There's only so much that I can do to prove this to you, but you can see the connection here. Now, this is the best way that I can pinpoint proof that this happened 3 years ago. I don't have the dates of the comments in the screenshots because they're screenshots from when they happened. But I'm going to do my best to show you guys proof that this happened 3 years ago. This comment on the screen right now is going to be showed in the video that I'm posting, the one that you're watching right now. But I actually showed it in a video 3 years ago, which is this video. You can see the picture back here too. So you know it's the same video. You can watch it if you want to see the original telling of what happened, or a summary. But the fact that it's the same screenshot, or the same comment at least, lets you know that there was a timeline where I did showcase this back then. So even though it says 3 weeks ago, it was actually 3 years ago when this comment originally happened. So all the replies were 3 years ago, and that gives you context for the fact that this all happened 3 years ago, which means when I show you guys how these people have come back and they're harassing me again, that means they've been obsessed with me this entire time. And you just have to think about the mentality of someone who's like that. It's really creepy. So it says, didn't Honey Eats, or however she calls herself, admit that she was wrong concerning Stephanie and even apologize for it? Now who's leaving out things in context? So this person was watching the video and just disagreeing with things that I said. And Honey Eats had apologized because she was getting death threats. So he says she puts, you can see the numbers. This is how many arguments he made, by the way. Like 22 arguments. He's super obsessed with the video. So he said she puts everyone's name in the video who she got permission from. Well, damn, you are one stupid ass person to not get that, which isn't what happened. The only people she put in the video was the people she got permission from. She didn't even put anyone else in her initial video about him. She showed all their faces in the post, and people got the post and got the names from it. And she never apologized to Honey Eats. So, and she never told her fans not to give Honey Eats death threats. That was the problem I was talking about. So he says, if you're going to try twist things around, at least try not to sound like a convoluted fool when doing so, lol. And it's like, so he's accusing me of twisting stuff when he's the one who's doing it. It's projection. The only unapologetic one, her, is Nick when he struck first and, you know, he's making more points. Are you really that stupid or something? You were saying she can't feel scared because she has support system with her friends and family. You low intellect, broken English, half-wit fool of a weeaboo. And again, there's so much projection here because he's a fan of Stephanie Soo. She has K-pop fans, so he would be the weeb. His English is broken, just like with this part. One, her, is Nick. It's like, what does that mean? You know, all this stuff. He says, you can still feel threatened by someone if they make an uncontrollable regardless, blah, blah, blah. He's just taking it all out of context and arguing. So this person then says, I've been an artist all my life. You're an amazing artist. Love your illustrations and video. And again, at the time, I was trying to allow everybody to just have their free speech. So I was just like, okay, I'll heart that, but fuck what he had to say. He says, Miss Princess Lily, bad taste. And so I said, oh, thank you. And he sent it basically at the same time. I know this says 21 and 22 hours, but that probably means it was like on the dot of the hour switch. But I didn't see his comment, so I said, oh, thank you. I have an art channel, fairly new, if you want to see more. He said, perhaps you should work on both your amateurish art skills and your subpar debating skills as well. And you can see he edited it, so you can see this is the comment that I talked about. Peaches and Cream says, kindly link it here. As in, like, link the things that he's referencing, because he never does. Like, people tell him, I'll tell him, and he doesn't. He just keeps accusing me of stuff. And so then he says, Peaches and Cream, you can find the video itself. It's on Stephanie Soo's second video in response to Nick. So she's talking about all this stuff here and the accusations he's making about me lying about Stephanie Soo. He then says, you can find the video itself. It's on Stephanie Soo's second video in response to Nick. He says, Peaches and Cream, what are you looking for exactly? The video where Stephanie mentions that her beef with Veronica Wang has been squashed in her second video in response to Nick. You looking for what exactly? Again, this is broken English, but whatever. That's when Kang L says the whole laugh my ass off subpart, and he's like, what the hell are you talking about? And he went and fixed his comment. And then they say, you're the one with subpart debating skills. And he says the illiterate idiot who confused the word subpar with subpart, lol. You see how, like, creepy and weird that is? For someone to confidently just act like it didn't happen. You can tell that if he can do it here with something he just said that everyone saw, imagine what he does when accusing me of stuff. It says, everyone can see your edit, laughing my ass off, stupid ass. And someone liked it. It says, don't blame me for your inability to use grammar. Rest assured, others have seen it in the edit. So I'm just going to sum up the rest of this. I was just basically agreeing with them. And then in this one, it's not this one, let me see. Oh, that's more of us talking. So he says the idiot who can't use proper punctuation marks. I don't know anything about grammar and punctuation. Again, reading is not my strong suit, so I don't expect to be able to do that. Why don't you work on your own broken sentence structure before anything else, hun? And again, it's coming from someone who also can't type sentences. So they go back and forth. And he just basically keeps accusing Kang and me, but mostly it turns into Kang, of saying all of this stuff that didn't happen and calling them stupid, etc., to the point where he was accusing Kang of lying about the comment. So I ended up sending Kang the screenshot of the original comment in my notification, and it says, oh, you want me to post the screenshot that I received that backs up my accusation about your editing your comment and straight up denying it? Sure, I'll link it here when it's ready, which was me getting it ready. So at this point, people are gonna say, why are you indulging in this petty stuff? It's because in my comment section, people were saying, yeah, she did this, she did that. There's this screenshot, she lied about this stuff. It was all over the place. Okay, and I don't have those screenshots. I just screenshotted this argument, but they were like spamming. I didn't realize at the time they were alt accounts and stuff, but they were just spamming the accusations here. So I was like, well, I need to kind of prove it if I'm going to allow them to say whatever they want. The free speech thing, right? That's why I was like, well, let me get the screenshot. So I get that you're saying it's petty, but again, do you think that unchecked free speech is okay? Because that's what I had to learn through all this. That's how I figured this out. So that's when they go back and forth and says, yes, I want to see you post to your unreliable and more than likely photoshopped screenshot. So he was going to accuse of being photoshopped. And so they started calling Kang a sociopath and stuff. And I don't know if I showed you the screenshot, but they were doing that. Then I'm getting these other comments from like this person, Addie or Abby A66Y, I think. It's blurry. It says, whose phone and computer was she checking? Was it Nick's? When did she say predator or alluding someone being a predator? I think this is another alt account, by the way. But the point is I was explaining it. And then he comes in, PJ Lee, which was like one of the main people who was always responding to John Wick. And it might be in the other screenshot I just showed you, PJ Lee. But PJ Lee was like, that seems like you took those clips out of context. So I think that all of this was either the group or 3 alt accounts from John Wick. And they just kept accusing me of little nitpicks of things that I said, trying to say that I'm wrong. And they had to nitpick because what I said was actually good critiques. They couldn't actually pin me down on something that I said or quote me or anything because they were good things that I said. So when you have to make up lies like that, it just shows you who you really are. So this is when this whole controversy comes in. This person says, why are you lying about what I said? We both know that I didn't say that at all. Kurena had my comment pinned to the front page of her viewers to see, and that was not the comment that I said. Please stop lying. So this is when things got really bad. I again am missing some screenshots, but basically what happened was that this commenter came in called Milky BubbleTea or Milk BubbleTea and said that I deleted their pinned comment and it was because it was disagreeing with me. Why would I pin a comment that was disagreeing with me and I wanted to delete it? And they're like, oh, you didn't realize it. How would I not realize it? And again, why would I delete? And if I did delete it, who cares? But I didn't. I know I didn't because I've never pinned a comment that I had that much of an issue with. But then Kang said, you're not the original commenter. That was someone else. You couldn't even get the same profile picture for your fake account. And so then Milky BubbleTea, again, this picture doesn't even look like someone who would put Milky BubbleTea as their username. This looks like some edgelord picture. So to then put Milky, and me saying this means now they're going to know to like use better pictures and stuff. They're going to adapt and try to be more secretive. But they say Milky BubbleTea, Kang L, why are you lying about what I said? We both know that I didn't say that at all. Kurena had my comment pinned to the front page of her viewers to see, and that was not the comment that I said. Please stop lying, because Kang was quoting them. And then Kang responded and said, you're not the original commenter, you skank-ass impersonator. You couldn't even get the same profile pic as the real Milky. Anyone who has the common sense to view your account and the original poster of the comment I already linked will see the fucking difference. Fuck off. So that was in response to him saying, I'll say it again, calling out other people's behavior and only when your behavior doesn't suck. And your behavior towards your detractors is repugnant at best. And you can see how many comments it has because of all the spam from these like hate comments. They were just spamming a lot of agreements. They're just like, yeah. We all know this. We all know who she is. We all know she says all these things that I never said. And then there would be some replies in there and it just kept going and going. And if I didn't respond, they would just keep saying more. They were calling me a KKK member. There was a username called Kurena Fujio is a rapist. They were calling me all sorts of stuff. At their worst, accused me of stealing my entire format, my whole channel, from another channel. And the way they accused me of it, and they were spamming it everywhere saying she stole all her videos from this other channel, and then she got that channel taken down, telling them that they copied her videos. And I'm like, how can I defend myself against that when the imaginary channel you made up is gone? You can't prove that I stole it. And they're like, yeah, we can't prove it because you took it down. And so then they would respond to other people on other videos, like old videos, new ones, and they'd be like, yeah, she stole this, she stole it, she stole it. And it was insane. So again, the whole unchecked free speech thing, am I not supposed to censor these people? Am I not supposed to take care of this? I'm just supposed to allow them to say whatever they want about me? What am I supposed to do in terms of free speech except for block them? Please tell me. So he makes that comment, this happens, and Kang links the original channel, and this was the original comment. So this is his channel or whatever, no subscribers because it's a new account. Milky BubbleTea, again, doesn't even look like the picture. This was the original one. This picture looks way more accurate to someone who calls themselves Milky BubbleTea. They were responding to John Wick under this Markiplier video I made and said, or maybe you just got triggered because she actually said her opinion that is different than yours, and now you got mad and decided to throw a really stupid insult. But let me tell you, honey, nobody asked for your sorry ass to be here and throw random insults. There was no need for you to click her video just to put this insult low. Like, really, my guy, go get a life. And so you can see they impersonated this person and said, you deleted my pinned comment. I just replaced it with another comment that I liked and wanted to pin. It's like I couldn't do anything without them twisting it and accusing me of stuff. It was all day non-stop. They would be on it like 3 o'clock in the morning posting. They'd be on it like 6 a.m., 2 o'clock p.m., just all day, every day. And they wouldn't leave me alone. And then here it says, feminist lesbian can't, what's wrong with lesbians who want equal rights? It's like, what are you even talking about? I can tell from your voice that you are feminist lesbian can't. And that's what they, the saddest part is, this was their original comment. That's why I quoted it. I can tell from your voice that you are feminist lesbian can't. And so then they tried to fix it and it's still like unreadable. I said, edit your post for fuck's sake if you're going to hurl out insults, basically. It's cut off. So they made up all that stuff. This is the original Milky BubbleTea with 8 subs that looks like a basic account because people subscribe to random people all the time. For whatever reason, I don't know. So I actually found it. This is the comment where one of the many comments where they were calling me the KKK, but they had ones where they said, she is racist, she's a white supremacist, when I had made videos against racism. Like right when I upload those videos, then they start saying I was the opposite to everyone. And they're like, she said all this stuff about black people and stuff. So here it says, Kang Al, oh, hey, kangaroo face. What's up? I was wondering when Ku Klux Kurena's mentally challenged Pitbull was going to show up, lol. They always called my defenders Pitbulls, bulldogs. It actually got so bad to where I ended up censoring the word because of just how much they'd be using it. Me censoring it happened at the very end when I start blocking them all, which I don't know if I said yet in this video, but yeah, in the end, I blocked all of them. And they come back on other accounts and I'd block them again, or certain words that they used all the time, I would block it so that I wouldn't have to look all over my channel for them. But they'd still try to find other ways like bulldog, pitbull, etc., etc. I don't know why they always said that. And they said, depends on the topic actually. It just so happens to be that you and KKK here happen to have poorly formulated and incorrect opinions. So naturally, I disagree with incredibly stupid and uneducated people like you and miss speech impediment here. But I'm glad we both agree that Kurena here can't break 1,000 views on her recent videos. That is pretty pathetic, haha. So they were always trying to stop people from watching my content. That was their goal. And I don't really want to get too much more into any more of this. Like, I have other screenshots of all this stuff. You can see them just saying all these things about me, calling me stupid, or saying, oh, obviously you're wrong. If I see any others is worth noting as I scroll through the few other screenshots I have, I'll point it out. Oh, well, actually, this one I'll show you here. So one thing they did all the time, I already said, they would be like, we all know this about you. So here they're saying, this is, you know, Thanos, this person was always commenting. They said, dude, you're full of it. Like, come on. We all know you. Kurena can't take criticism. And so they would go to other commenters who would say, oh, nice video and stuff. They'd be like, it's not a nice video. She does this stuff. Then someone would be like, wow, did you really say that? And then there would be some commenters that would be like, you know, I don't like the fact that you said this in your video. And then they would go and respond to the person who disagreed with me, just some random person who was unrelated to all this. They'd be like, yeah, she says stuff like that all the time. And she says this too, and this and this and that. Like, we all see her say it all the time. We call her this and we call her that. If I can get one of those screenshots, I'll show you, but it might not be a response to one of those people. I don't know yet. They would try to say that I'm a brat, you know, a petulant brat, and then I'm just lashing out. And it's like, well, why am I lashing out if you guys aren't doing anything? But yeah, so these are the other comments. Here they are getting mad at me. So they just got done saying I couldn't even break 1,000 views. And then I had just put up a video that broke 1,000 views. And then it got a ton of views. It was this one. And it got shouted out by a guy named Christopher Tom. And it also was stolen from Turkey Tom. I actually got more support from Christopher Tom's shout out than Turkey Tom because he just put my name at the end of his video, but stole the entire thing. Like clip by clip was from my video. And I proved that in these 2 videos. But the point is that whole incident, I ended up getting a ton of subs. Mostly thank you to Christopher Tom. So then they got really mad about that. So Kang is like, you're following her channel, pathetic. Haters do give you more fame, especially ignorant ones like you, because again, I found a way to get around it all, even with the free speech. I just embraced the chaos and I started to get more subs, and they couldn't stand it that I outsmarted them at their own game. So this other supporter of mine at the time said, well said, bud. I haven't seen them in a while, so that's why I say at the time. John Wick's just like, yeah, she should be thankful that I'm ridiculing her dead channel. They were trying to kill it. I'm just gonna cut in here to point out that it says, yeah, she should be thankful that I'm ridiculing her dead channel. But I thought this was a we. I thought this was, we all know this about her. We see you doing this. We want this from you. We this, we that. And you're in a discussion right now with the very people who are helping you argue against me, quote unquote, minutes apart from you. I mean, it takes a few minutes to write responses like this. Like, it can honestly take 4 minutes to type a response like this, especially to hop on another account and do it. So I feel like this was a Freudian slip from this person where they're basically admitting that they're the one ridiculing me, that they're attacking me on all these accounts, and that I should be grateful to their effort to harass me when they're trying to put me down. It's like, it's very narcissistic because they're basically saying your channel needs to be taken down, so we're going to do everything we can to do it. And even if you succeed, then we're responsible for it. And it's like, it's the exact opposite. And proof of that is the fact that regardless of how toxic my comment section was, regardless of how aggressive my videos were to combat these people specifically, people still were subscribing. It didn't matter how I was talking. It didn't matter how vulgar I was, how angry I was. People still heard my message because that's how powerful it was. And it's fine if you as an individual disagree with that, but the proof is in the growth of my channel. They heard me anyway because of who I am, not because of this person, and they couldn't stand it. They couldn't stand that I was able to produce a message that was that powerful to reach someone despite all of their efforts. Yeah, she should be thankful that I'm ridiculing her dead channel. They were trying to kill it. And it says, just like you should be thankful that I'm the closest thing an illiterate grade school dropout like you has to a social life. And it's like, you don't have a social life because you're on multiple accounts harassing me. And you're harassing me all hours of the day. So you literally have no, just on my channel 24/7, but they would just be posting minutes and minutes in between each other. So they had no life. They're just at home, just spamming and spamming and spamming and spamming across several videos. It was honestly, it was thousands of comments. That one comment I showed you had 150 replies. It was thousands of comments. So it was all just projection. And so then it says fame right here. Her only bragging rights is getting a shout out from a commentary channel that doesn't even have 150K subs. It doesn't matter how many subs he had. The fact that he could have had 5 subs. The fact that somebody else thought that what I said was a good point and they wanted to use that in their video and give me some sort of props for that or some sort of shout out to that just means a lot in general. But to say that he was just, they were just trying to hurt my feelings, basically. They're just bullies. And honestly, actually, bully isn't even the right word. They're sociopaths. These are people who are meticulously trying to suppress my videos in every which way they can think of, with all these layers and layers of pathological lying. And that's why I think it's the same account mostly, because of the mentality. Not many people are that crazy. Some people can do this stuff to a small degree, but to be this committed to it over months and months, most of it was probably the same person. And I don't know who this person is. And it says, unless she's getting Shane Dawson attention or a plug from PewDiePie, she's another run-of-the-mill drama channel, when I'm not a run-of-the-mill drama channel. Most drama channels have nothing to add. They don't want to talk about anything. They just say what's popular and what they know everyone's going to agree with. I try to say thought-provoking things. I don't speak on stuff unless I have something to add. So it's the opposite of what they're saying. And I know people are going to try to go in the comments and say the opposite of what I'm saying right now and falsely accuse me. But yeah, and then it says, just without the public relevancy. It's like, why don't you go talk to those people then if you really feel that way? And so they got really mad about that because I got like hundreds of subscribers. So they said, when you lack talent and basic thought process, use a bigger name for your YouTube relevancy. How was I using a bigger name when he used my name and shouted me out? You get my point? How they just twist in every little thing. Kurena Fujio's thought process. It's almost like you can't make a decent video without dragging and insulting a bigger channel. That's sad, huh? I have all sorts of videos where I don't do that. So, and they were videos with majority likes. So in terms of decency, the ones where I was using bigger channel names got less likes. So quite literally, the videos where I wasn't using big channel names got more likes. That means that by public opinion, they were more decent. So they were twisting everything. Then it's the same one. We're almost at the end of these screenshots. So then they're backing each other up, and then they're arguing with this Kang person again. Yeah, and she can barely reach 1K view without us. So at the time of them saying this, I had 3,000 something subs. I'm not supposed to get 1,000 views on each video. That is 30% of my sub count. That would be insane, you know? Like, to get that many views is actually a really good thing. You should only expect to get 1 to 5% of your sub count as views. And if you can at least get that, that means that you're doing okay. Anything below 1%, now you're like doing bad. 0.5% should be the minimum. Anything below that, you're doing a really bad job. So for me to be getting under 1,000, but close to 1,000, like 800 here, 700 there with only 3,000 subs was great, but they just wanted to, they were trying to discourage me. They didn't want me to keep uploading. They said it's not really an assumption. If it's true though, you've proven to be an uneducated invalid without any sense of common sense. If what I said wasn't true, you wouldn't have taken issue with what I said about your lack of education. So I'm not supposed to take issue with slander, is what you're saying? You clearly cared enough to respect me and grace me with your abundance of ignorance, bad grammar, and endless stupidity. It's just constant insults because they really wanted me to stop uploading. I don't know who Milky Butthurt Tea, this is part of the Milky BubbleTea thing. Even though you're saying you don't know when you made an alt account and lied about the comment. If she they're really trying to act like they don't know. If she one of Kurena's overweight and mentally challenged enablers who just as such and such and such whatever. So, and then they come back and respond to themselves on this alt account, and then they try to type differently. But for the record, a post like that is going to take you like 14 minutes to type. I mean, look at how many lines there are. So for them to spend just about the exact amount of time it would take to type something that dumb, because it wasn't very involved. They didn't have to like go to other videos of mine or grab clips or something. They're just typing what's on the top of their head and then separating it. That takes 14 minutes. And then they also edited it. But the point is, that's why I think it's an alt account. But you could see the other comments when they weren't typing like that. But they try to type really differently to act like, oh, I'm totally a different person. Let me use emojis in this one and no emojis in that one. Let me put gaps in this one, not put gaps in that one. And they just kept harassing people. That was like the bulk of the screenshots that I have. This is just a fragment of a fraction of all the shit that they said. And I sadly don't have the worst of the worst, so you'll just have to take my word for it. But it was insane. So that's the bulk of all of the best examples I can give you of what happened. You can see how they were typing. And so the only thing I don't have screenshotted was some of the tactics, or unless I did show it to you, I don't even remember at this point because it's just so much. But what they would do is have a small disagreement on another alt account, like one that's completely unrelated to these. They do a little disagreement where they'd be like, oh, it looks like you were kind of doing this. Was that the case, Kurena? Just accepting that they might be misunderstood. So I'd respond to them like they were a normal person and be like, oh, I actually meant this. This is all. And then someone else would be like, why are you going to say it to them like that, Kurena? Why are you going to talk to them like that? That's kind of rude. And the original commenter would be like, yeah, I felt like you were being rude to me. They're like, yeah, she is being rude to you because she does all this stuff. And then they would shift from that whole like, oh, you know, blah, 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 to being just like the others. And then they'd be like, yeah, you said this to me at the beginning. This is how you talked to me when all I said was this stuff. And it was to get their foot through the door because I was ignoring them. So they would pretend on more alt accounts, who knows how many they had, to just be this basic person who had a disagreement and then start attacking me again. So what led up to me ending all this and just deleting their stuff and blocking them was that they then started to delete their own comments. They were deleting everything, and I can't screenshot because it's gone, and they would delete specific ones to make it look like I was just harassing them. Just comment after comment, replying to the same one post that they made over and over and over and over again like a crazy person. Also, look at this comment. So you remember how Kang said the whole, we all saw you type subpart instead of subpar? He then flipped it back around on Kang with the fake Milky BubbleTea accusations, their own fake accusations, and then was like, we all saw you misquote the real Milky BubbleTea. We all saw it. So that was just another like example of them just twisting everything anybody did, but especially me and this other person. And I don't have screenshots for it, but even when Kang ended up changing their username, just because, like, I have people on my channel where not only is their username not the same as the name I approve, so their current name is somehow different from their approved current name, but some people just change their username for whatever reason, or they don't feel like having it anymore. So when Kang changed their username, they just made this whole big deal about it, where they're just like, oh yeah, you changed your name for this reason, you did it for that reason, blah, 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 blah. It's like, literally could not do anything without them making this giant deal out of it and just twisting everything that you do. It was just so obsessive. This is some of the DARVO behavior that I was talking about earlier. And I'm pretty sure that there were many other times I could have pointed it out through reading those comments. But this was like one of the biggest or worst examples of DARVO behavior that they did, because I could not defend myself against it. I just saw that I skipped over this comment, and this one's important because you can see here what their entire agenda was. They were just harassing me nonstop with everything that I did, making all these false statements in my comment section. So again, people were not watching. They would just read the comments and then just leave a dislike. I literally had comments where people were saying, I'm just going to dislike your stuff because of the comment section. So no one was watching, nobody was listening, and then they painted this whole scenario where they're like, it's not because of our trolling. It's not because of the attacks that we're doing. It's not because we were harassing you. It's because you have bad opinions. It's because you don't know what facts are. It's because you can't speak properly. It's because you're an awful person. It's because you're racist. It's because you are attacking people. It's because you're misquoting people. You're hiding things. You're deleting comments. You can't take criticism. Everything that they could say to paint this picture as if it was just completely meant to discredit me and ruin my reputation. That was their entire purpose. And it's like they really wanted people to believe that what they were saying was genuine. But this level of pathological lying is something that should not be allowed. And if people could simply see the watch time attached to these comments, it would have been revealed to everyone that I was being harassed by multiple accounts, or at the very, very least, people who are not watching my content. And all of this would have been avoided. The majority of their screenshots have nothing to do with the actual content in my videos. They almost never addressed any actual points that I was making. And when they were, it was never anything that I actually said in my video. It was always some sort of counter argument to a made up thing that I said that I never said. So when people would ask them to quote it, then they never would. So in every single one of these screenshots, there isn't a single one that's actually about anything in my content. It's just spamming nonsense. But the only option that I have given the situation is to just block them, to delete them, because it's nothing but lies. And anything I do is going to be twisted against me. And in real life, you can't just shed your skin after saying something awful about someone. You have to take responsibility to some degree. You can't duplicate yourself and attack people for no good reason in their place of work. You can't just pretend to be an army of people all agreeing the same thing and then say, like in this comment, everybody's disliking your stuff, ha ha ha. Nobody agrees with anything that you're saying. We all see through you. You can't make up fake scenarios like that in real life. And that's why freedom of speech should be taken way more seriously online. It is more dangerous to speak online than in real life, because this anonymous nature, these multiple accounts have power. And then they would go on other accounts and say, on this video, you can see she harassed us. On this video, you can see she said all this stuff about us. And she, and then she's deleting our comments and stuff. We can't even defend ourselves. It's like you're doing the exact opposite. Like you're doing exactly that to me. And so I was like, at that point, I'm just going to delete everything that they said, because there's no context. I can't defend myself. You're trying to make me look as crazy as possible so no one watches my stuff. And then they would get on comments. I could tell it's them because they're going under the same thread. And then they would post on those same accounts to other people's responses who are supporting me and stuff. But in those big threads, that same account, they'd be like, for you to be doing all this to these people is kind of insane, Kurena. Like that's, you're just kind of crazy. Like you're being really petty responding to all these people. Why are you being so petty? It's not okay for you to just constantly argue with people who are viewing your content. These are your customers. These are your supporters, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's you though. You're doing this. It's you again. You're making all this up. So they're back after 3 years. Okay, all this happened in 2020, April 2020. So literally 3 years later, they're back and trying to do it to me again in my comment section. And I don't know what to do. I already edited a video where I was dissecting what happened now. So I'm just gonna play clips, however many clips I want to take out of what actually happened, and put it here. And then I'll end all this and move on. So they came in before the video premiered. They saw the thumbnail and came in and said, she isn't the problem, we are. I'm sorry, when did any of us tell her to manipulate anyone? When did anyone tell her to take the bulk of the work for Sad Milk? These are things she did herself and used as a weapon against people. She even said she refused help. So I gotta ask. The video hasn't even premiered yet, and already your thumbnail blames the audience for what exactly? If this is a dissection of how we got here, then it's quite obvious through evidence that she got here from her own actions. If you're blaming her fans for her inflated ego again, that would be somewhat insane. So what people don't realize when they see this is that they think this is someone who's genuinely offended, because a normal person would be genuinely offended and misunderstand the thumbnail if they posted something like this. But you don't understand the mindset of a sociopath. These people from this group, so the tactics that people don't see here is that they're first asking the question at the beginning to get you to see it, to show that they're offended, to get you to respond. They then defend or explain why they're upset so that you think, oh my God, this is a misunderstanding, let me explain it to them, right? And then they ask another question without like the offensive, like, excuse me? Instead, they just say, so I gotta ask, to then again get you to respond. They're doing everything they can to get that response. Then they say, the video hasn't even premiered yet, and already your thumbnail blames the audience for what exactly? They twisted it. They did that on purpose. This is by design. I'm gonna prove it later. You need to stick through the video if you want to understand this fucking sociopath. The video hasn't even premiered yet is the whole problem with their comment. You are commenting on the fact that you have an issue with something you haven't even watched yet. But they twisted it around on me by saying, you said all this before even showing your video? How could I say anything before showing my video? How could I explain anything? But that's a really clever way to do it, and that's how sociopaths think. Then they say, if this is a dissection of how we got here, which means they were reading the description to find anything they could to twist it, right? If this is a dissection of how we got here, then it's quite obvious through evidence that she got here from her own actions. But I said how we got here. I didn't say how she got here. So you twisted it again. That tiny thing in this big comment, no one's gonna notice. If you're blaming her fans, they put if on purpose, blaming her fans for her inflated ego, again, that would be somewhat insane. So they're saying, if you're doing this, that's insane. Again, that's to get me to be like, oh, that's a misunderstanding, which is what I did. Because that's what you do with a normal person, a normal human being. So this person already has a bias. First of all, I don't owe you any respect whatsoever, because you just sat there and said to me that I'm blaming people for stuff. And that's the first comment that people are going to see. So you have to remember that I have to respond in a way that overcomes what you just did, because other people are going to read. So I'm not only responding to you, I have to respond for everyone. And so I said, after the video, maybe you will see the irony in this comment, because you're doing the very thing that I am talking about, which is them commenting on something before they have any actual context about it, which is going to make the situation worse. They would have known that if they had watched. And then I said, regardless, as you have already pointed out, this is before the premiere has even gone up. You haven't heard what I have to say, and you are already ready to argue with me. That means that most likely you will be going in with a bias and even less likely to understand my perspective. I would like to hope that that isn't the case, as this video is not an attack on you and is not an attack on the viewers. The you was not directed at viewers specifically, but actually commentary channels. Also, rather than an attack, it is, as you already said, a dissection of how we got here. I said that's what it was, because that is quite literally what the video is, and a rant. Also, keep in mind that this is part 1, so it is only the introduction, and even more will be explained in part 2. Okay? So I shouldn't have to explain why I said all that. I'm gonna explain it in this argument, so you can just, wait till that happens if you don't get the reason. I refreshed it because someone sent me this comment, and that's why I jumped on it so fast. But what I didn't realize was that the person who sent it to me basically sent it to me and then decided to comment. So we commented at the same time. Basically, they commented before me, and then at the same time as me. The second one is at the same time. They said, key phrase, the premiere hasn't even started. You are already making complaints about assumptions, very telling on your part. And again, this person doesn't owe you any kindness after what you just said, but this is pretty tame. Like, this is pretty tame. They said, very telling on your part, because you just accused me of attacking viewers. That's what you did. Then they said, that being said, you don't know what is going on, but you're very welcome to wait and come back with anything actually relating to whatever is discussed in the video. Edit such as questions you gotta ask. And they said, but hey, maybe they'll be addressed in the video premiere. Again, pretty tame comments, given the fact that what you're saying is the first thing people are going to see. And for people who don't know, when people go to a YouTube video that they think is going to offend them, they pause it. They don't watch it for context, formulate their own opinion. They pause it because they don't want to support it. They don't want to give it a view or any watch time if it's something that they're going to disagree with. You just got to take the L and see if it's something you disagree with. Because if not, you're going to see this comment and formulate your opinion off of that. Also, as I go to the next comment, for those of you who don't know, my whole channel is about talking about abuse, narcissistic behavior, sociopathic behavior, abusive behavior, because I was subjected to that my whole life and I'm sick of it. So I have been overexposed to it and I could see it coming from a mile away. So this was us commenting at the same time. So I screenshot the whole conversation. Hopefully I clicked expand on everything. We'll see. So then someone else comes in and says, actually, the thumbnail confused me too. Adam's got a point. It doesn't look like you were blaming the viewers. It's good you clarified, but it did look that way. Again, harmless comment. Now, remember, in the mind of someone who got attacked by people who posted harmless comments and then twisted them into something horrible for years, that's kind of traumatic. That means every single time I see someone post something that's kind of a harmless misunderstanding, I'm like, oh no, is it happening again? Is this the group? But I try to treat them fairly because I'm actually putting in effort as you hold me to this impossible standard. But spoiler alert, this person is part of it too. That paranoia where I'm like, is it happening again? Is literally fucking happening right now. This person decided to post this harmless comment to get me a response because now they're going to try to double team me and make it worse. I said, yeah, I get that now, but you win some, you lose some. It shouldn't stop people from listening. We have to hear things out before we criticize it, but thanks for the perspective. Like, thank you for letting me know how people saw it. That's what I was saying. I think that that's fucking obvious, but I explained anyway just now. So right after I said, thanks for the perspective, they say, you claimed he had a bias just for mentioning it though. You don't think that's a bit much? So what you guys might not understand if you're not open to this sociopathic behavior is that a warning sign that this is this type of person is they could have put that in their original comment. They left it out on purpose. Look at the timestamp. I posted mine 58 minutes ago. They posted theirs an hour ago, right? They come in 7 minutes later and say it. If that was something they wanted to add at the time, they could have just typed it. They purposefully waited for me to comment and then crafted a way to make the situation worse. Because now I'm in the middle of the conversation. I can't just ignore it because I've seen it. I made it clear that I've seen what they said. So like, okay, now I'll bring in the accusation. This is an actual manipulation tactic. Ask a harmless question, get them to respond, and then accuse them of something. Because now, basically, your foot is in the door. You gotta get your foot in the door. Detectives use this actually in interrogations. You should check out this channel if you want to know what I'm talking about. I'll link it in the description. But detectives use this to get confessions out of criminals, to kind of blur their, like, mind and make it harder for them to adequately respond to things. Sometimes it's a good thing when you're dealing with someone who actually committed a crime, but like in this video, sometimes what you're doing can get an innocent person thrown in jail. So if you want to see what I'm talking about that, watch this one specifically. So Adam comes in and says, thank you in all caps. So now we've shifted from you explaining a misunderstanding to you backing up Adam and defending him against me as if I'm this attacker. So Aurora comes back and says, I merely pointed out the hypocrisy of it. And don't forget my second comment where I recommended they show up for the premiere to have some questions answered. Now, I don't know if they deleted a comment because Rora is responding to them and I didn't see them respond to her. But then they say it's a bit much to make such a comment based on an assumption about a thumbnail as well. But I'm sure they did come through, or perhaps will and follow up on said comment to clarify whether or not they have anything to add. Adam then says, I'm sorry, how is it a bit much? Do you see how they're literally looking for anything to get offended by? A bit much? You're gonna make a whole response to that? How is it a bit much? I asked a question about what was implied. That's it. That's not what happened. You literally said that verbatim, and just the part that people can see. When did any of us tell her to manipulate anyone? I never said that. So for you to say all that you said was ask a question about what was implied, that's you twisting what happened. So then Rora responds to try to explain this misunderstanding and says, I just noticed that wasn't at me. Okay, so they didn't delete it. Then Rora says, I just noticed that wasn't at me, but still, it did come off as a bias considering the perspective it came from. I wondered if they were adding her too, because we were both saying a similar thing. Probably because it's fucking common sense. And she said, which was the initial belief of blaming the wrong target. So then it didn't when the thumbnail didn't convey who the target was. That isn't a bias. It's an ask. The thing that I was saying was bias. I'll get to that in a minute. I explained it in the comments. They said, so what did you think of the first part? Meaning the first part of the video, because at this point the video is premiered. You can see 46 minutes ago, the video came out. And the first 2 comments was before the premiere, or the first 4. All that happened before the premiere, all this happened after. So she's like, well, what did you think of the video? This person comes back, Gothic, whatever, and says he asked the question, how is it biased? The initial belief was caused by the thumbnail not making sense. You literally went from just saying, oh yeah, it was kind of a misunderstanding basically, to now just like getting really offended. It was all a plan. And so then this person says, I think blaming reporters for the inferno is a bit ridiculous actually, if you want to go into it. Like, that doesn't describe anything that I said. It says, I think if you're going to say commentary channels didn't talk about it years ago, and then show a commentary channel calling her out years ago, it damages your initial point, when that's not what happened. Like, they literally twisted what I said, and they did it on purpose. This person's smarter than you think, but really stupid at the same time. I was not saying to not talk about an issue from years ago. I was saying that by trivializing the issue and adding nothing to help, regardless of when it is, could be 2 years ago, 10 years ago, it's not going to help anything. It's going to actually make it worse. So I can criticize a video from a year ago, even if that's what I did, and say that, and it still makes sense. But they twisted it, and they're trying to make me sound like a hypocrite again, without quoting anything I said. Rora says, if you were just asking about the thumbnail, nothing else needed to be said then, which is a good point to make. They said what I said was an explanation of why it appears she's implying that, asking if she's implying that, and why is asking if she's implying that, and why it would be weird to imply that. You are starting to make no sense. That sentence literally makes no sense. I'm actually leave in all the stutters that I had to read that so that you understand how fucking confusing that sentence is. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that. That's fucking stupid. So I came back because at this point I was getting war flashbacks. I literally messaged Rora and said, I'm getting war flashbacks from the incident 2 years ago before I left. And I'll link the video here so that you guys can see that for context. But I said most likely there would be a bias because of the comment about what my video would be about without any information. So just so you know, I had to keep this kept dragging out because of what they would do if no one responded. That's when they just bring up more and more accusations. You have to remember that. They're gonna do anything to get that response. The fact is, this group is back. They're coming back. They're gonna keep saying stuff. Now I'm sitting here paranoid. Every single time someone has a slight misunderstanding of what I'm saying or accuse me of something I didn't do in any way, even if they genuinely believe it, now I'm like, is that the comment? Is it happening again? Do I ignore it? Do I respond to it? If I ignore it, people are gonna say I can't take criticism. If I respond to it, people are gonna say, oh, you're being argumentative. If I post it in a video, they're gonna say, oh, you're bullying this person. You know, if I just apologize, then they're gonna do more. When I'm not even sorry because I didn't do it. It's a false accusation, but they're gonna be like, see, you did that and you did all this other stuff. Like, if I block it, then they're gonna say, oh, you can't take criticism, you're just blocking anyone who disagrees with you. And they're gonna go to other channels and go to Reddits and all this stuff and attack me. I don't know what to do. The only thing that I can do is just block all of it. All of it. Anybody fucking coming in saying anything that could get these people to rile everything up again, I can block that. That's all I can do. That is the definition of a biased perspective. And I even said that I hope that won't be the case. The entire point of the comment that I left was to encourage them to keep an open mind. The fact that you're making a big deal out of a comment left before a video was even premiered is such a distraction from the actual topic at hand, because I'm responding to the Gothic person. I said, how is what you're saying productive? You saw one thing in particular that offended you about the very long comment that I left and have now centered your issue around that. You're not helping to to move this conversation forward. You are essentially saying it was okay for the person to literally argue with me before hearing my perspective, but me saying that that very action could likely create a bias is offensive to you. At this point, if you still feel that way, then I wish you the best of luck, because I will not indulge in this kind of distractive and unproductive commentary. So the conversation just started to go to shit from here, because I was telling Gothic I'm not going to reply to you anymore. It already went to shit a while ago. Now understand, I know that at this point someone will say, well, why even reply, right? You're not thinking about things. I did that for a long time. I just ignored this type of stuff, even the little things, the big things, because it started off small. But when you ignore it, when it gets big, what these people did in the past, they would bring in their little alt accounts and say, why aren't you replying? It's because you know that you're wrong and you know this. And then they would just start accusing me of more and more. Like literally bringing up stuff from other videos that never happened, saying, in this video, you did this thing that never happened. In this one, you did this thing that never happened. Why don't you defend yourself, huh? Speak up for yourself, Kurena. Someone else will try to defend me and then they say, no, let her speak. Let her talk. Don't be her bulldog. Let her talk. Literally saying those words. At this point, and if I hadn't responded at all, people would have said, you can't take criticism. You can't even answer a question. It's just a question, Kurena. That's what they were going to say. And if I just deleted it without context, people were going to say, oh, you're just going to delete anything you disagree with? Because these are fucking sociopaths. So moving on to, because this gets like 10 times worse in a minute. Roar says, if it was a simple question, it's understandable responding to Adam, but everything else you said is exactly as I described. Assumptions made without having information, given the video wasn't even up yet. According to you, it was based solely on the thumbnail, lol. Now it's being nitpicked continuously for no reason after being clarified. Seems pointless, so can we get to your actual opinion now that you have some kind of grounds to make one on the video? They say in response to me, excuse me, instead of arguing with your potential customer, based when you admit your thumbnail failed to convey your point, how about just admitting it was a bit asinine to claim I had a bias over a thumbnail that you admit you didn't convey well? So now they're making it this whole thing where they're like, why not just admit what you did wrong? You can't admit this little thing you did wrong. This is a developing opinion that I am developing right now in real time. But I realized it's actually on the commenters that the YouTubers have to make all this positive, lighthearted content to not offend them and have crazy sociopaths like this comment. And so then they make all this lighthearted content, which makes the drama worse. They only respond to something when everyone's in agreement so they can avoid people like this. And then they make the content worse. That means that, yeah, it's also on you, the viewer. You're so offended that you're responsible, and that means you can't take responsibility. So honestly, I don't care if people think that I said they're the problem, because you are too. If you resonate with this person, yeah, it's your fault that she got that bad. A bias against what, Kurena? I'm sorry if you feel I'm being unfair, because now they're trying to keep me in the conversation. They're not actually sorry. They're literally just trying to keep me there, and then they're just going to keep it going. I'm sorry if you feel I'm being unfair, but all I said was Adam had a point, and nearly insulting him for it is a bit overboard, isn't it? So they're literally calling what I'm doing exaggerating while apologizing. Those two things can't go together. Either you're in the wrong for exaggerating my circumstance, or I'm in the wrong because I actually did it. That's the manipulation. And people don't see this stuff because it's very subtle, but they're just trying to get me to respond because this sounds like another misunderstanding, something I can clear up, right? But I already knew at this point. I was messaging Roar, I was like, I'm getting these flashbacks. I feel like this is that group again. They're doing all the same stuff. This is all that they know to do. Adam then says, thank you again. It's the same pattern. Did you not catch that? So earlier when Gothic was saying that it was a misunderstanding, Adam came in and said, thank you, as if he was being defended. And then they attacked me. Gothic once again is like, oh, this is just a misunderstanding. And then Adam comes right back in 1 minute later and says, thank you again. If anything, I think they're the same account. I honestly do. Because that's a really strange pattern to have. Like, you would not say thank you to somebody saying they're having a misunderstanding. It's apologizing. Why would you say thank you when half of the comment is an apology to the person who you feel like you're being attacked from? That literally is not a thing a normal person would do. So then they said, I did give my opinion. See the Inferno and Reporters comment for more details. That was not an opinion because you didn't add any actual context based around what you said. So I went around all of that instead of saying, oh, this is a misunderstanding. I just meant this because I know that's what they were trying to do. I said what I used to say. Back when all this drama happened back in the day, I used to ask them, could you quote what I said, please? Just list the quote so I can see exactly what you have a problem with and respond to it. Because once you quote me, you've lost the plot. They're making up stuff that I didn't do. So to quote me would be to prove that I didn't do it. They can't say you said this while quoting the opposite, right? So I said, can you post a quote of what you specifically had an issue with in terms of what I said about you having a bias for clarity? And then they said, well, first of all, so they typed this whole comment in response 5 minutes later, and there's no quote. You can see there's no quote. Just like the old group used to do, never quote me. And they said, well, first of all, in what way would there be a bias in this situation? Okay, but I just asked you to quote what I said about you being biased. So now they're basically going to come up with a bunch of questions and distractions to make people forget that they're supposed to post a quote. Again, this is all manipulative. This is all calculated, very carefully calculated. It's like super calculated, even though they type in the dumbest way. But that dumb typing kind of makes their stuff sound legit because you think, oh, they're honestly just an idiot, right? Like, they honestly don't know any better, right? Kurena's just like coming after this person. So, I don't know. They said, a bias against who? You? I don't know you. A bias for the viewers? Well, I don't think strangers are responsible for the actions of another stranger. No. Well, you're wrong about that. We all affect each other, so we all have some responsibility in how each other behaves. Again, if you choose to be neutral on something, that means you're tolerant. So you're either tolerant of a person and their actions, or you are against them. You are responsible for people's actions to some degree. You are not mostly responsible. You are responsible to some degree. So you're just wrong there. But then they say, so my problem with you claiming I have a bias is, I didn't ask what your problem was. I asked what you had a problem with me saying you had a bias specifically. You're just twisting it around and ignoring me on purpose because they want me to comment and clarify that's not what I asked. Can you post a quote? And they're gonna be like, I shouldn't have to, and all this other shit. So they said, you made an assumption about either my character or my morals over a thumbnail that you failed to convey correctly. So they're like, you did this thing to me after you're the one in the wrong. B, considering there is nothing to be biased over, I can't help but feel that was just a deflection considering, which is again projection. They're literally deflecting from what I asked them to do. And again, at this point, people would say, because people have short-term memory watching this video, they're gonna be like, well, why don't you just ignore them at this point? Or why don't you just block them? Well, they're trying to be manipulative. You have to remember this is happening in real time. It's like, is this the group? Are people going to accuse me of just, because when I started to block people were then commenting under other people's comments, because you can see it in the notification, what someone said to you, even when it gets removed. So then they started saying, she's just deleting everything we're saying. She's doing all this stuff. And then they would go to other videos, like people making videos on me and try to rile them up to make a video on me. They would go to other people's channels and stuff and try to message. There was like a Reddit group made and all this other shit. So like, she's doing all this to us. And that's what's gonna happen if I don't have a justifiable reason to ban this fucking person. I can't just say, I know what they're gonna do before they do it and people trust me. They don't know me. So Aurora comes back. I'm kind of getting sick of seeing this nitpicking about the thumbnail when it was just the difference between how certain people perceive things versus others. Lol. I was not confused because I didn't assume anything about the thumbnail. Obviously, some people see them and get bias/thoughts, but they should save the initial thoughts for afterward, especially if they intend to hint/imply anything about the video when it hasn't even gone up yet. Just logical common sense to me. Just so you know, it gets worse. It gets so much worse. They say also when you imply something and I question it, you didn't mean to imply it. Sure, that's an accident. But then when you go on a tangent about how I'm coming from a place of bias and ranting at me when all I did was question it, yeah, rude. I literally said, I hope it's not the case that you're biased. And I even specified that I wasn't trying to attack the viewer. And you ignore all that to say this. The difference between my assumption and yours, so you're admitting you were assuming, but you're not biased. You made an assumption, but you're not biased. Was mine was based on your implication. That's your own subjective perspective. And they say, you based yours on nothing more than me questioning it. Yeah, the implication that I got from your question is the same thing. Oh my God. And then they comment to Aurora saying, I'm talking to Kurena, who admitted herself, because I stopped replying. I'm like, I'm done. I'm over it. And they said, I'm talking to Kurena, who admitted herself she didn't convey the thumbnail well. I did not admit that. But here they're saying she admitted it herself. Again, they're really trying to just slander me. Like, this is slander. And the more I respond, even though I only left a few responses, the more I respond, the more people are going to see this. And even though I'm speaking respectfully, people are going to say, well, she's just getting into drama. She's just a drama starter. Because people become neutral. There's this idea about neutrality where when something's too much for a person to comprehend, comprehend. They don't want to think critically on it. They just assume it's all the same. So they're like, everybody's being dramatic. I was not being dramatic. I was literally trying to solve the issue. Oh, but you start to respond. Yeah, to commenters who asked me questions and misunderstood what I was saying. But people are going to see that. I used to get comments where people be like, oh, you're just responding to all this, even when I was being nice. Even when I was being nice. And again, if I don't say anything, I'm like, you can't take criticism and start falsely accusing me of stuff, because this is the same hate group. They said, I'm talking to Kurena, just like that hate group used to do. We're talking to her, not you. Where's her response? Then it says she didn't convey the thumbnail well, and who has had more than one person tell her that? That's why I think it's a duplicate account right there. Because you purposefully focused on the fact that more than one person is doing it, which means you were hoping that another person would, and you both came in at the very beginning to back each other up. Like, it makes no sense that you guys would double team in this aggressive way where you're both skipping over context, you're both not providing any evidence, and you're both saying things that didn't happen. I think they're the same account. The same person. And they even distance themselves. Why not say the username? That's the thing people do when they're lying. Some other person, not me, totally not me. Someone else. You mean Gothic? That's the only other person here. Says more than one person tell her that. I am not talking to you. I entertained you long enough. That's part of what they used to say. We're not talking to you. We're talking to her. We don't want to hear from you. We want to hear from Kurena. They're literally obsessed with me. Like, they're kind of they are stalkers. They were stalking me everywhere, following everything that I did. They went to my fucking Etsy shop that I wasn't even promoting or doing much with. I had just posted it because I was making jewelry at the time. And they're like, she has these ridiculous prices, when it was under 20 bucks for shit. I had people telling me that I should post my earrings for $25. People were telling me your prices are too low. Why are you selling this to me for $14? And they were like, she has these ridiculous prices. So they were doing everything that they could. And so then Rora comes in and says, because to quote you, you're starting to make no sense. Hanging on to this and dragging it out. Now I'm starting to question your purpose here. Yeah, because at this point, Rora's like, yeah, this is kind of suspicious. Are you the kind of person to stir up drama and keep adding to the fuel? So far, seem to be so at this point. Then Adam says, you weren't the one judged for posting a question. Let Kurena answer for herself. Right there. I already knew. I'm just like, this is the group. This is the group. It's happening again. And the saddest thing is that these people waited. They have been waiting. I wondered, where were they? Because when I came back, I figured they would be like, oh, let's suppress her, right? But they said nothing. They wanted to ignore me because no one was listening to me. No one was watching my videos. I was getting like 100 views when I came back. And I was like, that's fine. Because again, I don't care if I get 2 videos every video. I'm going to post. As long as I can post, I will be posting because I'm upset. This is my way of getting through these evil things in the world. So even if it just reaches one person, that's all that matters. The GrowWithJo video I did changed her life. She said that made her feel inspired because she was getting attacked. And the videos had hundreds of thousands of views. My tiny ass video, when it had like 300 views, it actually reached her. That's why I post this content, not for you. You're not my fucking customer. I don't owe you anything. To even say that means that you think you're entitled to my kindness and consideration. You think that you just automatically deserve for me to cater to you. Who are you? You could be anyone in the world doing anything to anybody. I don't owe you anything, and you don't have to be here. This is my space. This is my private area on YouTube. If I didn't put it in this recording, I'll say it now. YouTube is not a place where you can just say whatever you want, wherever you want. The equivalent of YouTube in real life is a store. It is a place that you can rent and work in because YouTube can take your channel from you anytime that they want. You do not own it. So it is a rented space that you are managing. And if people come into your rented private space to accuse you of a bunch of things, you're allowed to kick them out. They do not have to do business with you. I can deny business to whoever the fuck I want. So yeah, I can stop you from commenting if I want to. I don't have to cater to you. I can sell whatever I want. Whatever message I want to sell, I can do that. So you are not entitled to anything. You weren't the one judged for posting a question. Let Kurena answer for herself. Because what they're trying to do now is just make me seem petty. So then Rora said she didn't even say you have a bias. She said it was most likely, given how he phrased everything, which upon reading, I got the same understanding from his comment. The thumbnail confusion? Okay, thank you for pointing out it can come off confusing. I saw Kurena address that with us after. Cool beans. Now it's getting ridiculous, lol. It wasn't unfair for her to say it the way she did. Key phrase, most likely, in her reply. I think you are both being unfair by continuously propping up up the line when we can see where it came from / the obvious root of it right here in the comments. Lol, it's coming off like you're trying to make something out of nothing when, as I said, people perceive things differently, and whatever was assumed about the video due to the thumbnail was clearly wrong. So can we finally just let it go? They don't want to let it go. They're coming back. And they're responding other comments. Like, there was this comment that said, lol, this is so much cope. I don't even know what that means. And then it says, you can't accept someone, the typing dude, you can't accept someone you like is a bad person. It's crazy to see there are some people out there willing to support blatant abuse. It's like, who are you saying that to, right? Because I have no idea what that means. That's confusing. It's crazy to see there are some people out here willing to support blatant abuse. That immediately makes me wonder, is this like a misunderstanding comment again, or is this the group trying to get me to respond again? Is this one of them? The paranoia. And then it says, I bet if this was a man and these were women coming out against him, you'd have a completely different point of view. Sexism and bias runs rampant in some people, I suppose. It's like, what are you implying? That I don't believe what's happening? Like, it doesn't make sense. But then Adam comes in and says, this literally proves my point. 2 minutes apart while arguing with us. I think this is an alt account. I really do. And I think that that's a legitimate assumption to make. So not only are the two messages just barely minutes apart, but then on top of it, there's the bad spelling again that you can see like here, where the John Wick person didn't know how to type. It has nothing to do with my video, just like the old group. It actually flips around the narrative of my video because I was taking the click circumstance seriously, and I said people are not taking it seriously, and that's making his situation worse. So I obviously believed him, and they completely flipped it around with this feminazi like narrative or something. And then Adam comes in and says, this literally proves my point, when he made no point about any of that. So this is pathological lying. There's no way he could have even mistakenly thought that this was supportive of anything that he said when he brought up nothing about sexism. So these patterns of behavior are so similar to that old group that it means I'm either being harassed by this same stalker, I'm being harassed by multiple people, which is just as bad, or that this isn't the same group and I just have these people who are equally toxic on my channel harassing me, and they're able to do it because of the anonymous nature of their accounts. They can change their name, get on an alternate account. They don't have to take any responsibility for what they're saying. It doesn't matter how you slice it. All this stuff is the same type of toxic behavior. So even if you don't believe that they're the same account like I do, this is still something that needs to be fixed, and can be fixed if we attach watch time. Because if you attach the watch time and saw that they both barely watched it, that would give you the assumption that that's a duplicate account. If we were able to show some sort of proof that these two accounts have responded to each other before, then that would show that they're likely to be duplicate accounts. I messaged the mod because I've told people I have multiple mods, but again, I was gone for 2 years, so most of them are gone. But Smite Sniper is the like OG mod, okay? Smite Sniper is there for every premiere. But the premiere is over. So that's pretty much the main purpose of me getting their help. And this is the worst part. They said, Kurena, do you want to call off your attack dog, please? It's getting unnecessary. And what did I tell you before? And they always called that person an attack dog. Other people would come in and be like, why are you talking to her like this? They'd be like, yeah, your little attack dogs. This is the same fucking person, I'm telling you. And I almost forgot to explain this because I know people are going to say, well, attack dog and bulldog aren't the same thing. But this person can't say bulldog because I censored it from the comment section, because they used to say it so much. So since they couldn't say those words specifically anymore, this person put attack dog in their comment. And I have never seen someone say attack dog, bulldog, stuff like that in an argument in a comment section. I've never seen it. And I understand that it's probably somewhere on YouTube, meaning what should be a rare occurrence, you know, the whole bulldog, attack dog thing. That should be a rare occurrence to ever see that in a comment section, let alone in an argument. But this supposedly rare thing someone will say keeps happening in comments with the same argument patterns. But this was all over my comment section, which is weird. So again, when you couple that with everything that's consistent here, which is twisting what I'm saying, ramping up the accusations in the conversation, nitpicking, being obsessed enough to even reply this much in the first place, not quoting anything that I'm saying or providing any context. All that stuff together, along with the bad like grammar and spelling and stuff, is the same thing that they used to do. And they're coming in on my first very viewed video since I came back. It's like they purposefully targeted a popular video, just like before you saw them say she couldn't even break 1,000 views without us. When I was getting popular videos, they come in. So all that stuff is just the same thing that I saw 2 years ago. And so then they said, most likely is an assumption on my character and morals when she admits her thumbnail did not convey her point. And then it says she need only say that, and I would just move along. You would not. You're literally trying to get me to be more and more vulnerable so that you can exploit that vulnerability further and further and slander my name and get your foot in the door. If I apologize to you, then you're going to feel like you can run over me. That's why I can't apologize. You're trying to attack me. It says, instead it became about me being biased. That's where it makes no sense. Now stop attacking everyone in blind anger. It's unsightly. They used to say that about the old comments. Rora isn't attacking in blind anger, but they're trying to antagonize them into responding even angrier so that their accusation becomes true, which is again a manipulation tactic. This is why I post videos about this stuff. So Smite Sniper comes in, posts a very well-worded comment. So Rora comes in and says, isn't it pretty hypocritical for you to say this most likely is an assumption on my character and morals and then try to claim I'm attacking everyone in blind anger when my replies aren't based on blind anger, but actually conversing and asking questions for clarification, lol. It was annoying to see the same thing dragging on, so I voiced it. It's okay though, I'm not trying to be banned for hanging on to some irrelevant stuff, whether some simple thing confused/offended me. Thanks, smiley face. So then Adam comes back and says, I'm sorry, but I've already explained myself twice now. I'm not hypocritical because one assumption was based off an implication and the other was based off nothing more than me questioning the implication. You really need to stop. It's getting a little parasocial. So they're literally saying you're obsessed with her when it's projection. These people are obsessed with me. They are my stalkers. I have stalkers, okay? I need you to understand that. And again, anyone with short-term memory, this kept dragging out because of what they would do if no one responded. That's when they just bring up more and more accusations. You have to remember that. They're gonna do anything to get that response. Them saying, all you have to do is admit this thing. They're just gonna respond further after that. They're gonna be like, but you did this too, why don't you admit that? You did this too. And this more ridiculous thing, and this more ridiculous thing. How are you gonna say you didn't do it? You're being argumentative, Kurena. And then they come back and said, it wasn't even an assumption because I asked. Just saying more of the bullshit, meaning there will be a clarification. That's not even an assumption. The only thing assumed was my character based on nothing more than inquiry. So they're just literally trying to continue this shit. Had to throw something away. Now, I don't have the last screenshot. I don't know, like I'm checking. I don't think I have it. But the very last thing was they asked Smite Sniper who was Smite Sniper talking to. The comment literally says, dear commentators. And they said, who is this in response to? Because now they're trying to get Smite Sniper to respond and then have a discussion with Smite Sniper, which is not gonna fucking happen. So they're trying to do that. And I had Smite Sniper post a comment that I pinned at the top of everything so that everyone could see it was addressed to everybody. And so that way you aren't confused on who it's addressed to. No mod has to respond to you. So they said, all that. And then the whole thing got deleted because they commented after that something, I don't remember what. Again, I don't have it because it's gone now. The whole conversation, they have been blocked. But the fact is, this group is back. They're coming back. They're going to keep saying stuff. Now I'm sitting here paranoid. Every single time someone has a slight misunderstanding of what I'm saying or accuse me of something I didn't do in any way, even if they genuinely believe it, now I'm like, is that the comment? Is it happening again? Do I ignore it? Do I respond to it? If I ignore it, people are going to say I can't take criticism. If I respond to it, people are going to say, oh, you're being argumentative. If I post it in a video, they're going to say, oh, you're bullying this person. You know, if I just apologize, then they're going to do more. When I'm not even sorry because I didn't do it. It's a false accusation, but they're gonna be like, see, you did that and you did all this other stuff. Like, if I block it, then they're gonna say, oh, you can't take criticism, you're just blocking anyone who disagrees with you. And they're gonna go to other channels and go to Reddits and all this stuff and attack me. I don't know what to do. The only thing that I can do is just block all of it. All of it. Anybody fucking coming in saying anything that could get these people to rile everything up again, I can block that. That's all I can do. It's so funny, Rora messaged me because, you know, obviously when you're a part of these arguments, you're checking up on stuff, right? So you want to see, did they come back? Did they come back? Because you're getting attacked. So Aurora saw this comment and messaged me and said, man, my perspective, like when I first saw this comment, I wondered if this person was being sarcastic because they saw that I hearted it. It's not in the screenshot, but I hearted it because I'm just going to assume you genuinely mean it. In my head, I was just like, is this the group again? Are they being sarcastic? Is this another one? But I'm just like, you know what? There's no reason for me to think that. I'm just going to heart it. Thank you for saying I'm smart. But I didn't respond to them to ask for clarity or to elaborate that I appreciated what they said because I have a paranoia that if I respond, then they're going to be like, I didn't actually mean it that way. I meant this thing, Kurena. You did these things and this and this and that. Why aren't you responding, Kurena? Why aren't you responding, Kurena? Somebody said, watch the video before you comment, please. So I'm just making it clear here that I'm done. I am not going to spend another second worrying about this shit. I don't care. 1 week is enough, okay? Or a week and a half, however long it's been since I put up the part 1. I'm not gonna worry every single time I see a comment that it could be some sort of bait and trap for an argument. If you type a comment to me that is supportive, I'm gonna treat it like it's a supportive comment. If you type a comment that's a misunderstanding and it's written within reason, I will clear it up. If you then turn that into some sort of argument because you were baiting me, I'm gonna block you. If you say some crazy shit that has nothing to do with my video, I'm gonna block you. If you say something about my video that never happened in my video, I'm gonna block you. If you say a bunch of crazy shit about me or about other commenters, I'm going to block you. And if you just say some vague thing that's attacking my channel that is incoherent, even if it's incoherent, I'm gonna block you. My comment section is not a place for you to encourage people not to watch my content, and you do not have the right to have the freedom of speech to censor me with your speech. So if you have a problem with any of those things, well, oh well, because that is the power that I have on my channel. Prove it possible, make your own videos. Don't cater to your viewers. Share your own raw, real opinion. Do that for a few years and have an uncensored comment section, and then let me see how easy it was for you. Let me see how productive of a comment section you have, because you don't know what it's like. And so with all of that being said, there's so much more that I could say about this. I could honestly go on for another hour and a half at the very least to describe all of these things and how it was affecting my channel and go in depth about those other pages on other websites and the other video that was made on me and all these other things that they said about me. But instead of doing any of that, I think you get the picture here. The point that I'm making is, again, this does not just happen to people like me. It's not just because I'm this aggressive person or this disagreeable person. This happens to other people all the time. I mentioned how Cosmic Carrie was being harassed by alternate accounts, and people knew about how Honey Eats was getting death threats when the whole Stephanie Soo thing happened. These anonymous accounts have power. They don't have any context, they don't know what's going on, and they can just comment and say whatever they want and people listen. That is a problem. It's not my fault that I'm the one saying something about it. Other people just can't. And it's for many factors. Either people aren't listening to them because they're small and they've been canceled, or they're bigger and they're scared to take a risk. But the point is, this is a problem all across YouTube. This is not just a problem with Blair. And for anybody who disagrees with me talking about the Sad Milk incident in correlation with this incident, this is a message that needs to be spread. Do you actually care about drama or do you not? Because if you do care about the drama that you're watching, if you really think that what these people are doing is so bad, then we need to find some way to prevent at least some of the things that they're getting away with. If you're really mad that Blair has just been ignoring all of the controversy and she keeps posting, then don't you want there to be some sort of system in place that can prevent her from doing this again? Because so far there is no consequence for her getting on multiple accounts. Everyone's seen it, but she could easily do it again and you never know. So I'm trying to tell you about this because I'm trying to stress how important it is for us to provide a solution. I tried the whole free speech thing. It doesn't work. It only works for people who don't have to deal with shit like this. I'm telling you that if we attach watch time to comments, that would fix a lot of these issues. But some other ideas that we can also do is YouTube can push up comments that watch more of the video than comments that don't. And then on top of that, you can select to read comments by watch time. You can also possibly implement some sort of system where if you at somebody, there will be a number next to the at so that you can see how many times you've added that person. So if two people try to act like they're just two strangers agreeing on something, but next to the at, it then says 42 or 364, then you know that they know each other. They've been on several comment sections with each other and they're not just random strangers. These are some things that could really help fix a lot of these issues. And if you don't like the way that I'm talking about it, then you make a video and you talk about it. You find a way to discuss this stuff, because making videos on YouTube is not as easy as it seems. If you have a problem with the length, again, make your own video. Whatever it is you want me to do, prove it possible on your own channel. But if you really care about this stuff, we need to find some way to prevent these things from happening, or else what's the point in talking about it? We need to find some sort of a solution. So I know that a lot of people who are going to dislike bomb this video, just like they did with part 1 and part 2, they're not going to get this far. They're not going to listen. But to the few people who have listened, to the few people who at least got to this point, I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the support that I did get through all these videos. I've been interacting with you guys. I've been listening to what you all have to say, and it just means so much that some of you can hear me despite all of the controversy that was going on through these uploads. And for the record, I'm gonna keep pushing this until something's done. And I know people aren't gonna like it, and I'm not gonna comment on every single controversy because I don't like doing it. I've never done that. I've never kept up with every single exposed trend. So I'm still not. But every now and then, if it ties into this whole watch time viewers thing, I'm going to do a video on it, and people can hate me if they want to, but something needs to change. So again, thank you guys for watching. I just wanted to tell my story, and yeah, I'll see you all next time.